Hi everyone, my name's Lisa, also Mudget. I'm going to do a little tutorial for you on how I do my crossplay makeup for the multiplayer character from Assassin's Creed 3, the Sharpshooter. I just want to point out that I'm not an authority, I'm not a makeup artist. This is just some tricks and techniques that I've learned along the way that you might find useful. A lot of the tutorial videos that I watched tended to use makeup for the stubble and the facial hair, whereas I want to use an actual prosthetic rather than that. So I had to combine sort of two different theories, so I thought this might be really useful for some of you. So I'll run through some of the stuff that I use, and then I'll go ahead and do a demonstration on how I go about doing it. So the first thing that I have is the beard prosthetic. So this is it. Comes on a mesh backing. When you first get your beard, it is really stiff and really long and scraggly, so you need to soften it up and trim it. So basically it's just a matter of rubbing it together and breaking up the hairspray stuff that they basically dose the thing in. So comb it out, brush it out, and trim it to the length that you need for your particular character. You can also trim this mesh down as you need to. Obviously the actual hairs are tied into the mesh, so just be mindful of that as you're cutting. I had my boyfriend help me trim it because I don't have experience cutting facial hair. It's not something I do every day, so that was really helpful, and then I just sort of went through and trimmed it myself to neaten it up. So there's the beard on the mesh. The mesh is really gross and dirty, and this is the mustache. I had to trim that top part because of the distance between here and here. It kept rubbing into my nose and being really annoying and uncomfortable, so you might have to do that as well. Same deals with the beard. Soften it up, brush it out, trim it to the desired length and everything. To attach the bead, you need an adhesive. I've tried a couple of different adhesives, and the best one that I've found is probably the spirit gum. So this is the one that I use. It's just the Ben Nye spirit gum. It's a bit hard to see in a jumbo bottle. I take this with me when I go to the con, so I have a little bag pouch thing that's part of my costume, so I just stick it in there. This stuff dries really brittly, so brittle. So if you smile or eat or anything like that, it's going to come undone around here, so you may need to fix yourself up during the day, otherwise you'll have your beard falling off. You obviously need a spirit gum remover as well, so that you don't damage your skin as you pull your beard off, because that hurts and probably not very good. Some other things that I use a bronzer as my base, just to darken my skin up a little bit, because I'm pasty and white and girly looking. I have a lot of pinky complexion in my skin. Sharpshooter's out on the range shooting people in the sun and all that sort of stuff, even though he has a really big jumbo hat. But he's probably going to be more sun-kissed and dirty, so the bronzer works well for that, and it can also help with some of the shading. The other thing that I use is the MAC. So this is what I use for the contouring colour. This is a Pro Sculpting Cream in Coffee Walnut. So it probably will depend on your complexion and obviously the character that you're cosplaying, but this is the one that worked for me. So you can see it's a nice cream. I also have a concealer, also by MAC. You could probably use any concealer, they'll probably do the same thing. This is for particularly the lips, because I have very pink lips, as most females do, and most male characters aren't quite so rosy, so that just tones that down a little bit. You could also use that as a highlighter. I don't know why, I just don't. But that could be something that you could use as well. I have really pale eyebrows. They're really light and really girly. So I use a eyebrow pencil just to darken them up and to make them more bushy and thicker. So a lot of men have really much thicker eyebrows, particularly my character. So yeah, I need to man my eyebrows up a little bit. The brushes that I use, I just bought mine from Priceline in a pack. So I've got a powder brush, which is a nice thick one, blending brush, I'm not really sure what this one is, a contour brush, I don't know, and a liner brush. I don't use this one as often, but you could use it for doing creases and fold lines and frown lines, fold line. So that's that. Also, I normally would be putting a wig on. I'm not going to today, but I would braid my hair and tie it back. And also, I have all of these little hair bits here. My beard extends all the way up quite close to here because it's got like sideys. And so I don't want my hair all caught up in the beard because that really hurts when you take it off. So I wax that. You could probably use gel. I find wax just a little bit easier. So I would braid my hair into 2 parts and pin my hair back, my fringe back, and wax this here so that it doesn't get stuck. Yeah, just it's a bit more comfortable that way as well. And also helps with your hairline. Here you could wear a wig cap. Because I wear a hat, so you don't really see so much, so I don't bother with a wig cap for my particular character. But you might also still find even peeking out of the wig cap, you're going to get these edges here because the wig cap will go along here. So yeah, I wax that back just with texture wax or something. So yeah, I shall begin and give you a demonstration on how I go about doing my character. I'm going to tie my hair back to keep it out of the way. Before you add any makeup, you need to apply your beard prosthetic. The adhesive doesn't stick very well to makeup, so I learnt the hard way. But yeah, you need to put that on before you do anything else. Can make it a little bit difficult in terms of certain contouring lines. So for example, I don't really have any prominent cheekbones, whereas my character is a bit more gaunt than I am. So normally you would do your contouring down here, but because my beard takes up there, I sort of can only work with here. So yeah, you work with what you have. Can't get this open! Now when you apply spirit gum, you don't just stick it on your face and then stick that on. You need to let it go tacky, and I tend to do sort of smaller parts as I go. From what I've read, it's probably best to apply spirit gum to your face rather than onto the actual prosthetic. Yeah, and that way it probably stops it getting gummed up quite so much. Fourscore and 7 years ago. hold my breath when I do that part because that stuff really smells. Oh. So you can already see that the beard has sort of slightly altered the shape of my face, so it sort of elongated it and given me a bit of a shape here, because I normally have a really round face, so, and it hides my double chin, which is kind of nice. So that's the beard on. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time because you've got to wait for the spirit gum to go tacky. If you just stick it on, you'll probably find that it comes loose, and then you can just add bits. Normally I would put them down a bit, but I'm not going to today. But you can see that it adheres, so you can see how high it comes up here, just because it needs to meet where my wig comes down to give the illusion of sideburns, and I don't want that all in my hair. So it's going to be a little bit in my hair, but you know, you could trim that so that it's not quite so much here. So you'll notice it's probably a little bit uncomfortable. It's not super uncomfortable, it's just a bit itchy when you first put it on, and that's just because the mesh that it's backed onto, because it's a bit coarse, and you've also got the hair woven into it, so it sort of digs in. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, and you'll notice as well the first time that you wear it, you'll probably see where bits that you need to trim it. So if it's too high up here, then it's going to dig in. You need a bit of movement under here. You can trim this mesh so it comes a little bit close to the hairline. I haven't, I probably should, but yeah, it might help just with the blending. From a distance you don't notice it so much, there's a bit of makeup on it. That's kind of going to be inevitable when you're doing makeup with a beard prosthetic. So, so let's carry on. So like I said, you put this on first, then you do the rest of it. It can be really hard because you just want to jump in and go and do it, but your beard won't stick properly. It'll just come undone. So I'm just applying a bronzer at the moment. And if you have piercings, take them out. He doesn't have piercings, that will look weird. A little bit hard to see on this camera with this lighting, but yeah. So the next thing you do is you take your contour color, which is this one, and you take your contour brush, which is the one with the angle. Now what you want to do is create the illusion that there's more angles and shadows where there's not. So typically men tend to have more sunken eyes, or the illusion of sunken eyes, depends on the man, but my character in particular. So I'm going to darken around my eyes and create a bit more of a weather-worn look for him. I'm going to create a bit more of a sharper angle on my nose here. Try and give an illusion of a bit, you can see how round my face is. So I need to give a bit more of an illusion that I have some cheekbones under there, which don't exist. I wear a hat, so it kind of covers most of here, but you create some temples. I'll do it a little bit just to give you an idea. I also add in my crease lines, my frown lines, so I'll go in and draw there because he's a bit of a frowny person, so most of my photos I'm frowning, but it just exaggerates that. Remember as well, when you're having photos taken with a flash in particular, it's going to really drown out those colours. You're not going to see it, so you need to over exaggerate any of the shadows. So So you want to basically do like half a cheekbone. So imagine that your cheekbone line runs down there. I have cheekbones hidden somewhere. So you want to follow that contour line because you want to sit just below where the actual cheekbones. Remember, you're creating the shadow that falls underneath. If you were to do it onto the cheekbones, it'll look, unless you want high cheekbones, it'll look kind of weird because you'd be doing where the highlights or where the actual ridge sits. You want to sit it into here because I want my character to look a bit more gaunt and a bit more thinner in the face. So it'd sort of create that type of illusion. Then you go in with your blender brush and you want to soften out those. So I frown a little bit and it just takes that really harsh edge off and blends it so it looks a bit more natural. When you're blending, blend away. Eyebrow pencil. Needs sharpening. So you can see that my eyebrows, even though they're in dire need of plucking, still have sort of a natural arc to them. Some guys do have that, but many don't. So you need to probably bring your brows a little bit closer here. So they tend to draw out, and again, because my brows are really light, like you can't even see those little hairs there. So I need to draw them, draw that in as well, and just thicken them up in general. And I think that is basically the nuts and bolts of it. So then I will put my wig on and my hat. So it's a bit hard to tell without the wig, but there you go, my manly face. Oh. So feel free to ask any questions. Thank you for watching. Comment, all that sort of stuff. Fire away. Sharpshooter, get it? Oh, I'm hilarious. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.